social media addiction trial. 2 landmark rulings against social media companies happened this week. Tuesday, a New Mexico jury ordered Meta to...
Okay, no one siphoned my fuel while I'm gone. So, the last time I was here, in my last video, when I was climbing Mount Cooke, that was the last time I fueled up my car, which was about a month ago. Incidentally, that is the same day that the, let's say, disagreement began in Iran, before the price of petrol soared. I think I paid about $1.60 or $1.70 for petrol, and I'm still going off that same tank. I'll probably use a bit of it today, of course, but yeah, luckily I either catch a train to work or I work from home, so I don't actually drive that much. I've still got just under 3/4 of a tank of fuel. Obviously a bit of driving out here and back will reduce that, but yeah, I'm just trying to make that tank of fuel last for as long as possible. Okay, so we are back on Albany Highway and heading back towards Sullivan Rock. So like I said, in my last video, we climbed Mount Cooke. Today, we're going to be going the opposite direction on the Bibbulmun Trail. And we're not going to climb one mountain, we're going to climb 2 mountains. Mount Cuthbert and Mount Vincent. And oh, that's reminded me, I've got to start my old trails and Apple Fitness app things. So since I've started all of these hiking and camping adventures, I think between this hike and the last hike, it's been the longest time, like longest gap, I should say. And the good news is I've been pretty much craving it. Been really keen to get back out. The weather hasn't been great. It's been a little bit warm. As you can see, it's not too warm looking today. And also, I was having some footwear issues, but I'll talk about that a little bit later on. For now, here's Sullivan Rock. Nothing like a big rock to stretch the legs when you start a hike, enjoying the sweet, sully sounds of Albany Highway, or the old Albany Road, as I like to say. Anyway, it's pretty foggy today, which looks nice from down here, but hopefully it doesn't ruin visibility once I'm up there. It's just disappeared behind a cloud, but there is a hill, you could say, maybe a mountain. Let me just bring up maps. Okay, so it's possible that's Mount Vincent. That's mountain number 1 today. And then behind that, we mount Cuthbert. And then we hit a Bibbulmun Trail, like a shelter. I'll probably have lunch. And then you can either go back over the 2 mountains if you really want. I'm not particularly keen on that, but there is an alternative route along a fire track. You can do a bit of a loop and it comes back to here, Sullivan Rock. Still haven't figured out what Sullivan Rock or who it's named after. All I can tell you, quote, if we're going off the official website, is it's a huge low granite dome surrounded by jarrah forest and a popular access point for the Bibbulmun Track. We are, of course, today in the Monadnocks National Park? Can't remember. Anyway, to also quote the website, Monadnocks are isolated hills of erosion-resistant bedrock that rise conspicuously above a flatter plain. 3 examples of this gives Monadnocks Conservation Park its curious name. There we go, Monadnocks Conservation Park. And I'm pretty sure I actually read that in the last video, so sorry if I'm repeating myself. I haven't really done a lot of research for this video, I'm gonna be honest. As of filming, we've just had a cyclone up north. It completely wiped Exmouth off the map, unfortunately, which is pretty sad to hear. But yeah, this cyclone went all the way around Australia and it was heading to Perth, but as per usual, it lost a lot of steam and we just got a lot of rain. So throughout the week, I wasn't sure if I was gonna do this hike or not because I wasn't really sure on the weather. And it rained a bit yesterday morning, it rained a lot Friday. And today we're sort of on low chances of rain. It spat a little bit as I drove down here. So yeah, the result of that is that it's a top of like 22 degrees today. Fantastic weather for hiking. Okay, so here we are. This is the Bibbulmun Trail, or Bibbulmun Track. Last time we went down there, which was super fun, to have to walk back up at the very end of the hike, since that wasn't a loop, that was a return trip. That way to Mount Cooke. We're going to stay on the Bibbulmun Trail or track today, follow the Wargles, and head towards Mount Vincent first off. And like I said, I didn't do a lot of research because I didn't know if I was going to come out or not. So it wasn't really my intention to come back to the same place 2 videos in a row, but I have a few other hikes planned that do require some research, and I didn't really want to do all that research and then get all hyped and, you know, find out it's too wet to go. So yeah, this track is already, it's already disappearing on me. I'm gonna go that way. I actually just realized there's more to the quote off the website. And when I say website, I don't think I actually said what the website was. This is of exploreparks.dbca.wa.gov.au. So after the little thingamabob about the Monadnocks Conservation Park, it says, hike the 3 pikes of Mount Cuthbert, Mount Vincent and Mount Cooke on the Bibbulmun Track. Walking is the best way to get closer to the picturesque lateral landscape. You'll be glad you came. The views are fabulous from higher slopes. And I can see a higher slope just behind the camera. Not sure how well that's coming up. I'll do a bit of a zoom using the iPhone, but I'd imagine that's Mount Vincent. So I was worried about people possibly getting a little bit upset about the minor clickbait I used in the last video, which I titled Perth's Tallest Mountain. Because it's not really in Perth, like we're pretty close to Jarrahdale really, but I don't know, maybe it is or maybe it isn't still part of the metro area. Anyway, no one seemed to really care about that. People thought it was funny that I was referring to it as a mountain, because it is, I don't know, 580 meters, I think, from memory. So not very tall. The 2 mountains we're doing today, I couldn't actually really find any solid information of how tall they actually are, but they both appear to be about 500 meters. So we'll do 1,000 meters of elevation gain today, although maybe not, because that's from sea level. It's not prominence. If you don't know what prominence is, that's just like how high it is above the rest of the landscape around it. Sea level is, of course, calculated from sea level. So you go to the coast, that's 0 meters. Anything up or down from there, that's where it's calculated from. So yeah, not really sure. I read some accounts of climbing them. Apparently they're not particularly easy to climb, so we'll really just see how we go. Ooh, clearing. Ooh, I'm getting drenched. Yeah. I didn't really want to film much in there because the track was quite narrow. There's quite a bit of brush around, and as per usual, I'm terrified of snakes. Anyway, we've been very gradually going up as we head towards Mount Vincent. We've got some pretty good elevation gain here, look at that. Oh, so I better get cracking and walk up here before I get too out of breath. And it's too hard to just talk crap into a microphone when you're out of breath. So let's crack on. Okay, the first view of the day. Circle that in. What a lovely place with all the lichen growing. Bloody beautiful. Getting a tiny little bit technical, but it's not too bad. I wonder how much further I have to go to get to the top. Maybe the top's up there. Could be a false summit, who knows. So last time I was here, the car park down near Sullivan Rock was packed, but this morning, I'm the only one. So far I've got the entire trail to myself, which is just the way I like it. Maybe people have been scared away by the weather, but I was also here pretty early. I rocked up about 7:30. I don't think I got here until about 9 o'clock last time. Trail goes that way, but I've got a viewpoint down here. Wow. Oh, drink all that in. An absolutely amazing place of the country. Jarrah forests. They're unique. They look amazing being unique. Yes, very, my words, how great are my words? I do wonder if that's, sorry, I thought I heard something in the bushes. That little hump there, I do wonder if that's Mount Cooke. It's certainly taller than all the other peaks around it. But yeah, I'm lucky that I do have a view. I was worried that we'd be heading into a cloud and could see nothing at all, but I mean, that could still very well happen, but I'm pretty confident we're about to reach the peak, the top of Mount Vincent. This is it. There we go. 491 meters. I guess we'll bag that. And I guess that must be Mount Cuthbert over there. It's pretty bushy up here, so luckily I'm 6'2", so I can see somewhat of a view, but yeah, mountain number 1 today. That was pretty easy. We'll see how easy the second one is. So I was going to talk about the naming next to the point, but there's bazillions of ants living right on the top of Mount Vincent, it seems. So I'm going to do it over here where it's not quite ant city. So I was trying to figure out where the name for Mount Vincent comes from. And it's not like Mount Vincent has its own Wikipedia page or anything like that, like Mount Cooke does. So I'm just going to take a guess that it's named after the same person that, I'm going to turn this way because the sun's facing that way, probably named after the person that the city of Vincent is. So I looked that up and it says, this is quoting off the Wikipedia page, the city of Vincent is named after the street of that name that runs through it, which itself was believed to have been named by the chief draughtsman in the lands department, George Vincent, after himself in about 1876. George Vincent was the recipient of the land on the north side of the street, east of Charles Street, in the first Crown Grant of Perth. So there you go. The more you know. Let's head towards Mount Cuthbert now. And I wonder what this decline's going to be like. And which way do I go? This way. It's a very faded Bibbulmun Track sign there. Oh yeah, here we go. This is a pretty good view. Nice. Okay, so there's obviously quite a bit more prominence on this side of Mount Vincent than there is on the side that I came up. So I'm glad I'm not doing a return trip because I wouldn't fancy climbing up this. Yeah, this is actually pretty arduous. It's bloody prime ankle roll territory. And plus I'm getting absolutely drenched. The track's a little bit overgrown, it's not too bad. Okay, I think we're well and truly at the bottom of Mount Vincent now, so I think I might celebrate with a muesli bar. There's only one muesli bar worth buying, and that's Garmin's. Specifically, protein, raspberry, and pistachio. They're super expensive though, they're like $8 a box. Can't afford that. I used to have them for breakfast every day, but now I just keep a box for hikes and whatnot. But it's super hard to find muesli bars that aren't covered in chocolate or yogurt. So I don't really want to eat chocolate for breakfast, and I shouldn't really be eating yogurt either. Like my stomach disagrees with it. So sort of pay the big bucks just to get the ones with nuts and fruits on them, but worth it, absolutely worth it. Delish. Okay, we're starting to head up again. See? And over there, I think that might be Mount Vincent, which looks absolutely massive from all the way down here. Like I said, I going up the southern side Seemed a lot easier than going down the northern side, so something to keep in mind. Okay, guess we're going up there. Like I keep saying, I'm just getting like absolutely drenched walking through these bushes and stuff. And of course, today is the day I decided to wear shorts. So I've lost favour with those pants I purchased not too long ago. I think I first wore those in the Whistlepipe Gully video. The problem is they're pants, but they're waterproof pants that are supposed to be worn over other pants. So they're quite large. I just bought them on Amazon and I wasn't really paying enough attention, I guess. I was, watching YouTube. I was watching a hiking video actually, and I was like, oh yeah, I should get some new pants. What can I get for cheap on Amazon? Look at this. Let's go around that. Try not to walk through any spider webs. But yeah, we've got a view again, nice. The problem is, I've lost my train of thought. Yeah, so what I was saying is they're just not really that comfortable because they're not designed to be worn straight over your undies. So yeah, there's a bit of chafing going on. But ironically, today would have been a good day to wear them because I'm getting drenched, but the shorts I'm wearing, nothing special, nothing to write home about. They're just like exercise shorts from Kmart. So they do have somewhat of water resistance, but I'll be honest, they're not doing much. Good view. Oh, we're getting there. Still gotta go up that, but that's where we've come from. Just through the trees there, I can see the top of Mount Vincent. Like I said, I do believe these two mountains are about the same height, approximately 500 meters from sea level. So yeah, just make my way up this probably slippery rock. And we'll bag our second peak for today. Hopefully, actually, the track's going around that way. Stupid rock, I don't have to walk up you. Well, certainly seems as if we're at the highest point now, but I can't see any rock cairns, which is a shame if there isn't one. I guess I'll just, I don't know, touch this bit here. Good as any. Maybe it's further along. But it just feels like we go downhill from there, so yeah, I wonder. Well, someone's uploaded a photo of one on Google Maps. Checking all trails. It's like the scenic view just beyond, so maybe that's where the rock cairn is. Maybe it goes up in elevation again. In case you're wondering, I will link the trail that I'm currently on today in the description. Like I said, it's on all trails. I think I've pretty much used all trails for all the videos, all the hiking videos thus far. But yeah, it's not the longest hike today. I think it's like 13 or 14 kilometers. I am climbing up and down two mountains, and it looks like I've just climbed up Mount Cuthbert. But it just doesn't feel like I've really climbed it until I touch that rock cairn, so keeping an eye out for that. Going up on the southern side of that was definitely more difficult than Mount Vincent. It felt like Mount Vincent on the northern side, if that makes sense. So yeah, got a little bit puffed out as I went up, but we made it. And then, yeah, like I said, once we get to the next Bibbulmun Track shelter, from there we'll just be taking a fire truck back. So it probably won't be the most interesting, but it'll be nice and flat and should get me back to the car pretty quick. Okay, we've definitely gone uphill again, so it's possible we are still not at the peak. Oh, you know what? I can see it. Just through there, you probably can't see it yet, but there's a big, huge rock clearing with a rock cairn on it. So I'm gonna give that a bit of a bop and then we can move on with our lives. well, I'm not sure if this is the cairn, but it's the biggest one here at the highest elevation, so I'm just gonna roll with it. Anyway, that's 2 mountains bagged. 3 total. Mount Cuthbert, Mount Vincent, and Mount Cooke a couple of months ago. Oh no, 1 month ago. So, where does the name Cuthbert come from? So, like Mount Vincent, there isn't a lot of information online about Mount Cuthbert. In fact, I was hoping there would be another sign saying what the elevation was, but so for the point of this video, we'll just say it's about the same. It looked about the same when I could see it from the peak before. So, like Mount Vincent, I went looking for other uses of the name Cuthbert around Western Australia. And just on the edge of Albany, there is the locality of Cuthbert, kind of like a suburb. It's just right on the edge of the town. And you know, you can find out the information of where that name comes from through Landgate. They have little descriptions for each name. And all it says is that the name is believed to honour an 1890s settler of the area. That's all it says. Doesn't say what their full name is, doesn't say what they did. I guess they were just a very early pioneer, I'm not sure. So, is this massive rock I'm walking down named after some dude from the 1890s? Who's to say? Anyway, it should be, the rest of the walk should be pretty cruisy now. We're gonna go down the side of the mountain, which looks pretty open and seems to be at a pretty consistent grade so far. And yeah, there is a Bibbulmun Track shelter there, like I said before, and we'll stop and have some lunch. So I do wonder, that little peak there is Mount Randall, which is the other major peak in this area. Ooh, this is pretty steep. Please don't be loose. Please and thank you. Apparently you do have to do a bit of bush bashing to get to it. From accounts I've read, there was a track at one point, but it's pretty overgrown. It's not really marked, so I'm not going to do that today. I think 2 mountains is enough, but maybe another day, maybe another time. Well, you hear me always going on about all trails. Turns out I had the wrong trail selected. So there's a couple of different ways you can hike around this area through these mountains. But yeah, one's rated quite highly and one isn't. So one takes you through lots of overgrown tracks and stuff. And I accidentally chose that for the for the whole time. And then I went and clicked on the other one, just at least so I could compare it, because it's the tracking's on. And it gave me the option to change the route mid-hike. So I'm not going to lose any statistics or anything like that. So yeah, I thought that was quite cool and worth mentioning. Holy shit, look at this guy. It's huge. He's coming towards me. Try not to walk through his web there. Yeah. I've actually walked through a couple of spider webs today, so really glad I didn't walk through that guy's home. It's actually of note, a few spider webs I have seen actually across the track. They look quite old, like they're abandoned. There were no spiders on them, so I do wonder if it's been a little while since someone's walked down here. I'd assume most people would go in the other direction towards Mount Cooke, like I did on my last visit. But yeah, I mean, it's been warm. That's sort of one reason I haven't been walking around that much. And the other reason is because of my shoes. So if you watch the end of that Mount Cooke video, right to the end, I throw the shoes in the bin. They had completely wrecked my feet. My feet were still recovering from the previous hike, and that hike on Mount Cooke just totally cooked my feet. So I was going on about buying a stove in the last video as like the next hiking purchase, but I decided to expedite the process of getting some shoes instead. So for those playing at home, these are my new shoes, Sullivan's. So they're a little bit dirty. This is my first time wearing them. They're definitely getting a good first try, although today isn't the first time I've worn them. Obviously, they're boots, you have to wear them in. So I've been wearing them sort of on and off throughout the week, just like on my commute to work and whatever else. I was worried that it might not be enough. I always worry about that when I buy boots, but so far how many Ks in are we? we're only 5.5 Ks, but we have gone up and down 2 mountains, to be fair. Mountains, Perth mountains. And my feet are feeling super comfortable. I also went and bought some merino wool socks. So far they've been comfortable as well, but my feet are getting a little bit damp just because the brush is all wet from the rain. It hasn't rained on me actually as I've been walking around, touch wood, but it's definitely been raining here. So I bought the shoes from a place in town called Paddy Palins. It's found on High Street. So not sponsored, I actually worked weekend overtime to fund these boots. So yeah, that happened. So I can guarantee, oh, another big spider web. Much smaller spider on it this time though. So not sponsored, but I do want to say that I had a really good experience at Paddy Palins. So if someone from there is watching and you do want to sponsor me, I'll welcome it. I love free stuff. I love money and I'm not very good at money. So yeah, good experience. Went in, the guy that served me was super helpful. He answered all my questions. He knew exactly what he was talking about. Because, you know, obviously it would be cheaper to buy them online, but you don't want to buy shoes online. You need to try them out beforehand. So these ones cost me 250 bucks. That's part of their membership program, which you have to pay 10 bucks for. So I essentially paid 260 bucks. I think it was 280 without the membership. So, but it's a lifetime membership. I think it gives you like 10% off future purchases or something. Anyway, I don't want to sound like a shill for Paddy Palins, but I do want to say that I had a great experience there, and I'll definitely be back. This is quite a pleasant section. I like it. So on the topic of money, look, if you did happen to want to support anything I'm doing on this channel, I don't have a membership on this channel, but I do on my other channel, Brendan's Odyssey. I've decided not to create membership programs for both channels. I just feel like it's a little bit convoluted. But the membership program for Brendan's Odyssey, it's $3 a month, and it unlocks a bunch of behind the scenes videos. I think there's like 18 of them now. So these are filming vlogs, reconnaissance missions, just lots of behind the scenes on how the gravy's made. And yeah, the money from that, it goes directly back into Brendan's Odyssey, and by extension directly back into this channel. But Brendan's Odyssey is a fairly expensive channel to run, and I don't make as much money from it that people seem to think I do. Like, I still work full time and everything. There's no way I could subsist off that, but it does mostly pay for itself. Shut up, stop interrupting me. I'm trying to be a shill. But yeah, the money does go back into the channel. Like I said, it's pretty expensive to run, so I'm trying not to spend too much income from that channel on this channel. Spiderwebs bloody everywhere. Yeah, and would really help. Just a bit of, you know, backyard baseball. This channel is monetized now. Obviously, like the first 6 or so videos, I didn't make any money from the adverts or anything, but it got popular enough that I became eligible for the program. So yeah, this channel is making a little bit of money. And yeah, if you can possibly or want to support me a little bit more, the membership on Brendan's Odyssey is currently the best way to do that. And like I said, you get a bunch of extra videos you can watch. I show your name at the end of Brendan's Odyssey videos. Your comments get highlighted in the comments section. And yeah, it just makes you a really cool person. You want to be cool, right? And also, one last piece of housekeeping while we enjoy this wonderful Jarrah forest. If you can subscribe, it also helps the channel a lot. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but the percentage of subscribed versus unsubscribed viewers is crazy. It's like, you know, over 90% not subscribed. So if you could subscribe, it really helps me out. It helps us out in the back end, liking the video, sharing the video, hyping the video. I don't go on about this too much, but yeah, I thought I'd just bring it up today. Thank you. Here's a sign saying that I can have lunch. 450 meters. I didn't quite expect it to be so far off the track, but what can you do? Whew. Here we are. I can see why it's off track a little bit. It's a really nice view here. But this one here is a group campsite. So there's another site nearby which is for sort of solo travelers, or maybe if there's only one or two of you. But yeah, no one here today. Water tanks are present, which is good. I mentioned in the last video about Mount Cooke that someone had stolen some water tanks. Well, it turns out they've done it again. Absolute flogs. There isn't really supposed to be any vehicle access out here, so it's theorized they would empty all the water out and then roll it down the track, which just boggles my mind. I mean, there's different levels of theft, really, but I think literally stealing people's water supplies, that's got to be pretty high on the flog meter. Okay, lunchtime. There's quite a few bees here, but they're just hanging around the water tank, so I'm just going to let them be. I know, I'll show myself out. So, no 7-Eleven today. This table's pretty wet. Homemade wraps. Because just everything's expensive these days, you know? You just gotta scrimp money wherever you can. So, these are absolutely stuffed with ham, tomato, avocado, and vegan cheese. Because real cheese makes me fart. And also vegan cheese is what I found in the fridge. On a wholemeal wrap. See, look at that. Look how much I've shoved in there. There's not much more that's more satisfying than really nice homemade food. It's eating something that you've made and really, really enjoying it. Obviously this is just a wrap, it's, you know, it's pretty basic, but I'm enjoying it nonetheless. And I'm quite hungry. Okay, I still have one more wrap to eat, but that first one was actually quite filling, and to be honest, the bees were getting quite familiar with myself, so I'm gonna head back towards the route, although I will go check out the other shelter, just because, why not? We're gonna be right near it. They're always cool to check out. So I've just come across this. I've never seen one before. It says, lift lid 10 centimeters and slide back, clean footwear into tray, please replace lid. I think it's to stop the spread of dieback. And the brush is, has seen better days. So I guess I can just sort of chuck my foot in there and at least try and do something. Water in there is kind of manky too, to be honest. There you go, I'm sure I can do a better job than that, but yeah, that's the first time I've seen one of those. Too bad about the brush. And here's the smaller camp. So keep in mind, this one is much closer to the route. I've only have to go off trail a little bit. But the other one certainly has a much better view. And this one is called Monadnocks. I assume I'm saying that correctly, although I am known to say stuff incorrectly. I guess the end's silent. It's not Monadnocks, or is it Monadnocks? I don't know, doesn't really sound right, does it? Anyway, I'm gonna get about 4 billion rocks out of my shoes, and then we'll continue on. So far we are, let's see here, 8.8 kilometers into the walk. So, yeah, it's been pretty good so far, to be honest. Hasn't been too strenuous. Mount Cuthbert and Mount Vincent aren't too difficult. But like I said, the route back should be pretty flat, hopefully, so yeah. Not really sure what else to say. And I had a joke if I got to a point where I couldn't think of anything else to say, but I've forgotten what the joke is. So this whole segment's a bit of a wash. Okay, this is where we bid farewell to the Bibbulmun Trail. Bye. And we're heading down this fire track, and this will take us back in a bit of a loop fashion back to the Sullivan Rock car park. I actually had 2 comments on my Mount Cooke video saying that their car got broken into while it was parked at Sullivan Rock, which is a little bit disconcerting, I must say. I kind of wish I didn't know that, like a ignorance is bliss sort of scenario. So yeah, I'm a little bit paranoid. I could go back and my car's been fucking broken into in the middle of nowhere on a hike. I haven't seen a single person today, but it's nearly 11 o'clock and the weather's been pretty good. So I'd be surprised if I got back to the car park and there was still no other cars there, but you never know. Stranger things have happened. And it's not like there's anything worth stealing in my car. There's a dash cam that's been, frankly, quite problematic. So, you know, insurance replaced that. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but I still don't want to have to deal with, you know, broken glass and all that sort of stuff going through insurance. Yeah, I'd rather not deal with that. So yeah, if you could not just be an absolute flog and not break into people's cars, especially when they're doing activities like hiking. It's probably the same people that stole the water tank. But like I've said a couple of times today, I don't think this portion is going to be the most interesting, although potentially this road hasn't been used too much, although you could conceivably walk around there. As far as I understand, this is a fire track. So while the hiking track we're on before is, well, designed for hiking, it's they're not manufactured, that's a weird way to say it, but they're designed in a way that they take you through interesting spots and cool vantage points and all that. Fire tracks are purely, what's the word I'm looking for? Fire tracks are purely functional. They're designed to get fireys in and out when there's a fire, and quite a massive bushfire has been through this area before. So I don't expect it to be too interesting, but should get us back to the car. And even though the 2 mountains weren't the hardest, I thought they were both easier than Mount Cooke, I still don't feel like climbing up and down them again. So for those playing at home, this track does have a name. Not quite sure if you can see that or not, but it's called Herold Road. Whether it's a publicly open road or not, I've actually got no idea. So yeah, this is as exciting as I thought it would be. Why don't I tell you a story? Why can't it not be story time right now? So I was reminded of this the other day, but during COVID and during one of the lockdowns, I was on annual leave. It was one of the longer lockdowns. I think it was the longest one we had. Don't ask me what date that was, because that whole period of time was just a time warp for me. May as well not have happened. I was on leave, but a lot of people were unfortunately out of work, and I was working like 10 to 12 hour days. Seemed to go either way for people. Either they weren't working enough or they were working too much. That's the cool thing about working in the building industry during a time of building grants, I guess. Anyway, besides the point, I was on leave, the lockdown ended, Annika is at home as well. She was a student at the time. I thought, you know what, it'd be really nice to go out for a pub lunch. I spent all this annual leave sitting around at home because I can't go anywhere. So we decided to book ourselves in for the Guildford Hotel. And it was a lovely day, so I thought, you know, we'll walk down there. Anyway, since it was like, you know, the first time it'd been opened in months, there was a little bit of a warning there saying, well, not a warning, but a bit of a disclaimer saying, oh, you know, there would be some people there taking photos for the newspapers and whatnot. Fine. Because we walked there, we were actually the first ones there, but we had to line up out the front and sort of get let in, because I think the, you know, the deadline for the lockdowns, it didn't, I can't remember the exact reasoning, but I'm pretty sure it like started, the lockdown finished at a very specific time. So anyway, we get let in, we go in, and there's like, no joke, like 3 or 4 camera crews. Not just a couple of people taking some photos for the local newspaper. No, I mean like Channel 7, ABC, Channel 10, like full crews of people. And because Anna and I were at the front of the line, the door opened and we walk in and all the cameras start going. It was like paparazzi. And yeah, the footage got aired on a couple of different news channels at the time. I have it saved somewhere. Hopefully I can pick it up, you know, find it and put it in this video. But yeah, we just look like absolute stunned mullets, just like deer in the headlights, you know. And it probably looked like, you know, look at these sad sods, desperate to get back into the pub the minute they reopened. And yeah, they thought that, they wouldn't be wrong.
Venues will be inspected and those found doing the wrong thing can be fined or even shut down.
Many wasted no time, slipping right back into familiar old habits.
For the next few weeks, this is what eating out in Perth will look like. 20-person limits and strict social distancing rules means that venues will feel pretty empty.
Do any of you guys watch the YouTube channel West Australian Off-Road? It's a channel I've mentioned before. I really love his videos, really great camping and four-wheel driving videos, even though I don't really four-wheel drive myself. But I saw him the other day. I saw him in the city. I was walking down through the Piccadilly arcade. There he was, walking. Stop interrupting me. Doesn't say anything all day, and as soon as I start chirping, it decides to join in. Anyway, yeah, I saw him just like walking through Piccadilly with like his missus. And I looked at him because I wasn't quite sure if it was him, but it was definitely him. But then I sort of awkwardly stared at him for a little bit too long, even though we're walking past each other, and he sort of turned his head and looked at me, and we sort of stared. It didn't look like he recognized me. I don't know if he actually knows who I am, but I'm pretty sure he might have left a comment on the Midland McDonald's aeroplane video. This is on Brennan's Odyssey, because I know he is a Midland boy. He's from Midland. Yeah, so I should have said hi or something, but we just sort of walked past each other, and I just had this really awkward, elongated staring match. So, yeah, happens to be watching. Sorry about that, but just know I was doing it because I'm a big fan of your channel. It's really good. Well, I've solved my question as to whether this is a public track or not. Evidently not. At least up to here anyway. It's got a padlock on it. Yeah, no signage or anything. So as far as I know, we're still on track. Let me just double check. Usually it'll send a notification telling me so. Yeah. So we are there. So we're currently at 11.5 kilometers, and I think it's 13.8 all up. So yeah, it kind of looks relatively far, but like I said, it's just a flat road. So been moving down it pretty quickly. I think that's where I was before, up there. That's the start of Mount Vincent. Nearly back to Sullivan Rock. Got no idea if you can even see that. But yeah, my feet are starting to get pretty sore, but no blisters, so I don't think the shoes are to blame. I doubt there's a pair of shoes on earth where your feet wouldn't start hurting sooner or later. Overall, yeah, been pretty happy with these shoes so far, and I'd imagine today would have well and truly worn them in. You know what, I think I've been followed by like an animal or something. I keep hearing like wood cracking in the bush over here. It's kind of spooky, really. The first time I heard it, I was just like, oh, you know, it's probably just a branch falling off. There you go, interrupting me again as soon as I stop talking. But yeah, I've heard it like 3 times now. I'll be honest, I'm a little bit spooked out, but what can you do? Yeah, hearing those branches potentially breaking off the trees, I think that's what it was. Nothing's attacked me yet. Reminded me of a time we were camping in Dryandra, and we were on the railway trail there. I actually featured it in a membership video on my other channel, but I went a separate time, took Annika down there. It was just before we settled on a mortgage, actually, so we knew things were about to get pretty crazy, so didn't do any filming or anything. We just went for a nice camp down in Dryandra. Anyway, we're walking near the railway dam down there, and we just had this huge crack, like, bark. Well, it didn't really sound like that, but it was like a shocking sound, like it made us stop where we were walking. And then in the distance, we just saw this massive branch fall off a tree. And we didn't exactly have a good line of sight. We could just sort of see the top of this tree disappearing behind all these other trees. It was pretty nuts. Like, obviously branches fall off trees. Look at all these branches all over the grounds and trees that have fallen down as well. But I don't think I've ever actually experienced a full branch, like a big branch falling off a tree. It was pretty amazing to see. I was pretty glad we did see it actually. But yeah, like I actually thought someone was cutting down the tree, but it was in the direction we were walking in. So lucky it didn't land on our heads. But yeah, just unabated, strong and scary nature. Nature be scary, but also really cool at the same time. Like I can't even imagine the sound this would have made when it fell over. Bloody hell, that thing's huge. Hard to get the scaling right, but that's probably the size of 2 of me. In fact, I can use myself as a scale again, why not? Sorry about the awkward angle. I really need to get some sort of better tripod solution for hiking and camping, but yeah, that's at least 2 Brendans in height. 2 Brendans worth of height. Here we are. Return off to Sullivan Rock. The Bibbulmun Track there, where I was this morning. That way to Mount Cooke. This way back to my car. I didn't film it on the last video when I climbed to Mount Cooke, but by the time I got back to this point, I was not doing so well. I'd run out of water, which I'm still pretty bewildered by, but it's a little bit warmer that day. Usually I bring 2 bottles of water plus the 2-litre water bladder. Didn't bring the extra bottle of water that time, and yeah, I ran out of water. Brought it today, and I've a lot cooler today, granted, but I haven't even touched the other bottle of water and I'm still going on my bladder. So yeah, it always helps to be prepared. And also my feet were just so sore. By the time I was at this point coming back, I had to stop like every 100 meters or so. It was bad. It was really bad. So yeah, that's why I took a little bit of a break and bought some new shoes, because I was like, there's no way in hell I'm going back out there until I've got something better on my feet. You got to look after your feet. I wouldn't be able to hike without them. This rock is absolutely covered in those little lizards. I saw one of them just mack for a puddle at full speed. Well, here we are, back to Albany Highway. Busy today. And I just saw there were a few more cars parked in the car park. Absolutely surprised if I rocked up and the Subaru was still the only one there. Well, well, well. No, I made that joke last time. All right, let's go home. I got through this whole episode and I forgot to sing, I got new shoes and I'm ready for the weekend. Oh well, I've done it now, I guess. So yeah, car wasn't broken into, all the fuel's still here. Dash cam is unfortunately still attached to the windscreen. Yeah, today was pretty good, no complaints. That last bit along the fire trail was predictably boring as I thought it would be, but that's okay. I still stand by the fact that it was better to do that than go up and down the mountains. Oh, and by the way, I'm not holding this camera. Ooh, it's suction mounted to my windscreen. I got a very panicked email from a concerned citizen the other day, worried that I was doing that and reminded me of the fines you can get. So I assure you, I'm not doing anything like that. I'm not holding the camera while I'm driving. It's suction mounted to the window. So yeah, thought I'd just clear that up, just in case anyone else was wondering. And I do appreciate the other person worrying. I'm not making fun of you. But since I'm driving and I've run out of things to say, I think I'm going to leave the video there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.